those guys?
Your brother?
No.
Yes!
Get him to get on my nerves. Who are those guys? I couldn't do that. Could you do that? Could you do that? How can they do that? Who are those guys?
They're fucking brothers.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Phil from Zade Comics, and welcome back to another live stream. We are here talking about more kick-ass comics. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys have not yet, please hit that like and subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1K subs this year. We're almost at 800, so thank you guys for subbing to the channel. And we got a great show for you. You know, I've been busy doing fulfillment and just finishing up fulfillment, which is awesome on Magic Cop 2. As you can see, the Magic Cup up here spinning. Look at that. It's awesome. And so, yeah, hopefully we'll be doing a lot more live streams and videos and stuff like that on the channel because we're wrapping up fulfillment. Let's see. We got Billy Basco in the chat. What's up, Billy? J-Dog, Creators Outlet, Admiral Wackass. As Cecil said, thank you for your service, Admiral. We appreciate that. And we just tweeted this out. So if you guys could hop on over to Twitter, retweet this, get some more people in here, get some more eyes on this stream and this amazing campaign. And let's get into it without further ado. One of my favorite people in comics, love hanging out on streams with him. You know, either if it's a promotion stream or if it's just an old school Michael Bancroft, everybody get drunk stream. Those were great. But welcome, the one and the only Art Thibert. What is up, brother?
Doing good. Thanks for having me. Yeah, the old days when we used to get drunk on Michael Bancroft's show. Way back then. We're reminiscing now about like hanging out with Mike and drinking.
It feels like so long ago.
Yeah, it does.
On Bancroft stream. Those were so fun, though. Let's see, we got yesterday's Fool in the chat as well. What's up? But Art, you have been killing it. You did the first Black and White. You put that out. You did Chrono Mechanics, and now you're on to your third Indiegogo campaign. Is that right?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Four.
This will be the fourth. Yeah. So we did a second chance for Black and White. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So I know you've been working on this for a really long time. You have so much going on in this campaign, which is really cool. You're creating new opportunities for other creators with that kind of supplemental book, which I will get into. That's really awesome. And we've had you on before to talk about, I believe, the second chance Black and White campaign. And just give a quick rundown of how kind of this IP came about, because I know you've been playing around with these characters for a really long time.
Yeah, the initial was it was in '94, so I'm working at Extreme Studios,
Yeah.
and I'm doing various things for Rob Liefeld. He goes, "Yeah, I don't think you're having fun, man. I want you to have fun here. How about doing something that you want to do, like a create your own type thing?" And I was like, "Oh man, that's really generous. Thank you."
Yeah.
He said, "You have anything?" And I said, "Not right now." And so a few days later, my wife and I went to a Bruce Lee auction, and this was an estate auction. So his wife was there, his daughter was there. Brandon had just kind of passed, so it's about that Crow period.
Wow.
And so this was stuff that was in the family. I mean, this was stuff that was at their house and things they were going to auction off. And I'm a big, Green Hornet fan from the '60s, Bruce Lee.
Hell yeah.
And so I remember getting the catalog, and there was one of the throwing. They're not stars, but they're like darts that Kato used.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I want to get me one of those. Yeah, they're like hornets, and then the stinger is kind of where the dart tip is.
Yeah.
And so I saw it in the catalog. I go, I want to get this thing, and it was only $800, but that was starting bid. I got there. I soon found out how quickly those bids go. I mean, it went like from 800 to 8,000 in a heartbeat. I didn't even get the paddle up. But on the way home, my wife and I started talking about like this opportunity that Rob had mentioned. And so I was talking about how much I like the Green Hornet and Kato. And so that's where this kind of started from. And so like a male female character came out of that conversation, and the whole black and white thing came out. And I was kind of frustrated with comic books even back then, where there was Frank Miller and Alan Moore that kind of understood the gray area character and still make them look like they were heroic or that they were good people. But like writers after that started really, they didn't get it, man. So there was very little redemption of these characters. And they acted more like villains than heroes. And like the ends always justified the means. So they could do anything horrible, as long as it was in the name of justice or whatever it was. So I thought, and then I remembered conversation that I had when I was working on Superman, for DC, and how they were saying like Superman's corny, like these characters like Steve Rogers and Clark Kent are like from a bygone era. They're corny. No one would accept this anymore. So I started thinking, well, what if you had the two different personality types? What if you put them together in that whole, black and white kind of Green Hornet Kato, yin yang, East meets West kind of thing. And so that's kind of where it came from. So even the tagline, in a world where law and order is often blurred to gray, meaning a gray world, justice can only be black and white. So basically what comes out of the story is there's a new way of doing justice. It's the black and white form of justice. And it's all filtered through, Reed Blackett, who is kind of like a Steve Rogers type. Like that's why Steve Rogers as Captain America could run and lead the Avengers, because you don't question him. His moral barometer is always right on. And so that's how Reed Blackett is as well. But with Whitney Sung, aka White, she's a little bit more of a like fly by the seat of her pants. She kind of ends justify the means, things like that. So I thought it would be an interesting dynamic to have these two kind of ideas just smashing into each other, also as a male female perspective as well. So that's kind of where the initial idea came from.
No, that's a really cool dynamic for two characters that kind of work side by side, but in different ways.
Yeah, they're at odds constantly, and I think the tension is interesting, because I think there's the gray area character that I got sick of, and then there's also characters that almost like cooperate too much. You know what I mean? Like they're too in sync. So I thought that this would be good. That at the end of the day, you never question that they care for each other. Because there's also a relationship aspect to it. But to get to that destination, to get to that point, there's going to be a lot of tension, there's going to be a lot of arguments.
Oh, for sure. No, and that makes for good writing, good stories, bouncing off of each other. That is a formula for success in kind of any means of storytelling, not just comics or action and superheroes and stuff like that. It's always something that I'm trying to look for. You want a contrasting nature, or like a character foil for your characters, which is really cool. If anyone's in the chat and has any questions for Art, definitely drop them in there, and we'll get to that. So this story is this a direct sequel from the first one, or how did you kind of plan to go about with releasing this newest campaign?
Yeah, Volume 2 is the follow up to Volume 1. So Volume 1 had definitely a cliffhanger. So this takes up right where that issue left off, and this is the epic conclusion to that storyline. So this will be it, and it's kind of it's more or less an origin story of how these two, kind of, I guess, kind of finally accept their destinies. You know what I mean? To be
Sure.
these two characters, because I wanted to kind of be like at the beginning of the story, it's like this is the life they could have had. So there's kind of this what if, what if their past didn't come back to haunt them? What if they were able just to continue like normal people? But then fate intercedes and then throws them on this different path. And I think that the world will be a better place because of it as well. These two get together and then they form this black and white type of justice.
Very cool. Yeah, and look at you have a Kenneth Rocafort cover. This is insane, because the man doesn't do a lot for a lot of covers for people, but this is really, really cool. Love the poses. How was working with him on this?
Yeah, I still kind of just like, how did this happen? It's like when you got that Bisley cover, I'm sure you were like, wait a minute, he said yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was kind of one of those type of moments. And then I just kind of told them, like they're robot fighters, from the future, and gave him a copy of the first issue, and he got it. And then, before I know it, I get this. It wasn't even like a sketch. He just like, here it is. It's done.
Yeah, the guy is lightning fast, and the cool thing about being in CG and meeting all these amazing artists and becoming buddies with you guys, it's awesome to see, especially the more experienced artists, how they have their own style now, and you could instantly look at a piece and be like, oh yeah, that's Kenneth's, or that's Art's, and with kind of from his colors to his line work to the smoke, he always has like this signature smoke he puts in stuff. You could tell the guy's having a blast doing this art, and really leaving a mark on every piece that he puts out there. So that I love seeing an artist evolve and settle into that style that they make their own.
Yeah, there's some people that like they get really kind of territorial with their IP. Like, I need the character to look like this, or like they're really like, here's the model sheet kind of thing. But
Sure.
like with Rocafort, I was like, just do your thing, do your take on it. And so there's stuff where he changed the costume a little bit, and then I'm like, but I like it. I might actually incorporate some of those ideas into my designs,
Yeah, that comes down to kind of especially if you're a writer working with an artist, like that collaborative process. But seeing even fan art is really cool. Seeing what other artists do with your characters and what they could think up of. That's awesome. Let's see. Admiral Wack says he's sold. Billy's in the chat. He says he wants to fly by the seat of White's pants.
Whoa. Okay, that's okay. I'll allow it.
Now let's talk about this black and white high octane. What can you tell us about this bad boy?
Oh, this is CG born and raised. Like, this is Von Klaus writing. This is Pedro Ang drawing, doing all the art chores. He's doing the coloring as well. And I had signed a deal with Hollywood animation company studio.
Yeah.
And so we were developing black and white as a cartoon show. And so I don't know why, but Pedro just sent me this drawing of black and white in this animation style. He's an animator by trade.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wow, this is cool. I sent it to my animation partner at the time, and he was like, killer. So we were kind of moving forward thinking that Pedro was going to be on the project, even though I never mentioned it to Pedro, because I kind of knew that things weren't going to work out with this animation because of CG, because I know that, especially Hollywood, some of these more woke types are, they have a little bit of a problem with it. So, I kind of kept it really close to the vest with everything. I didn't even really talk about it too much on the live streams and things like that. So then, of course, it blew up. And about that time, too, Pedro did some animation tests for the characters. Wow. And so I was like, cool. I need to use this guy. So I had this really, really nutshell idea. I pitched it to Von Klaus, who I absolutely adore. I think he's a great writer. I think that Monster MD is fantastic. Yeah. And he said yes. And so he came up with a with a pretty cool draft. I'd still love to do it, but it's a little bit more like romantic between the two characters. There's even a tunnel of love scene in the story. And then I was like, we only have 22 pages. Let's kind of like just bombastic, robot fighting action. Some of the relationship stuff will still be in there, but it's only 22 pages. So after I kind of, said that, he came back and just the second draft was perfection. He completely got it. I sent that out to Pedro, and Pedro is so enthusiastic and fast, man. I can't even keep up with him with the notes. I mean, he's just every day, boom, boom, boom with pages. So, that's exciting. Yeah, and then my wife, she saw all the stuff behind the scenes. She's like, because I was just like black and white adventures, how they had like the Batman Adventures comic and stuff like that. And then my wife, like, no, these pages, this concept. She goes, high octane. So she came up with the title. Yeah,
that's perfect, man. No, this is so cool, and it's another thing. Like, now this is a full book that you're seeing in someone else's art style, as opposed to just one cover or something. And that's the cool thing about what we're doing here, building on these IPs, and then you could, leave some smaller stories to other creators' hands with the art, and fans of yours could see these characters in a whole new light. And then maybe, if everything works out, you could go do that animation in the future, and you have kind of a proof of concept in that kind of cool animation style. But at the same time, it's awesome. You're still going full force in the comics and drawing that main book your whole self, which is, what people crave that stuff. They love these characters. When people talk about, female characters in CG, white pops to the forefront of my mind. Such a striking image, character design, and really, really cool characterization with this. I can't wait to get my hands on this and read more about these characters' art.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, like white is it's funny because years ago, like in '94, we had Hollywood representation as well. So we're like bopping around doing the meetings and stuff like that. And so Pamela and I, my wife, and she's the co-creator, co-writer on this stuff. The agent got to know us a little bit. He said, you know what? Black is a lot like you, Art, and white is like Pamela.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe, but definitely, like, this is like a really exaggerated version of us, because my wife is not anything, she is not a physical character. She's not going to whack me if I step out of line,
Oh man, I hope not. So how far along are you on this project? I'm seeing some layouts here. What is kind of like your process? Because you've done these campaigns before. Are you someone that is, I know a lot of people like John Malin, he kind of has two modes where he's got his campaigning mode and he's just campaigning all the time. And then once the campaign ends, then he gets on the grind. He disappears for, 3 months to draw the book. Or are you someone that, that kind of goes off and on with, you're kind of drawing at the same time as campaigning? How does that work? Because, this is very different than doing books monthly or something like that, where in our realm, you got to get out there, you got to talk about this stuff.
Yeah, there's many hats that we're wearing, so it's a lot more. There's a lot more detail to it versus just doing this one thing or this other thing. So yeah, there is a campaign mode that I'm in right now. But what I did previous is I wanted to make sure I had the story that I wanted to tell. So I'm working with Joe Fulton, aka Thunder Buns, and so him and I hashed out the story. It's all written. And what was happening is we would go over a scene and then I would just be very excited about it. And then I would just start doing what you're seeing. I would do these thumbnails and just start kind of blocking it out. And then when we get back together, I would have like maybe steered off the pattern, the path a little bit. And then we would talk about it and then go to the next scene and so forth. And so basically, we were able to, before the campaign, all the writing is done. There's an ending that we have to kind of work through, but it's just more of like action. Like it's an addition of 2 pages, but the 2 pages is really going to change some of the pace and change the feel a little bit. So, he got sick and so that kind of got detoured. But, once we get back together, I'm sure it'll just take a couple minutes or, a couple hours to do that. But that the writing's all done, basic dialogue's in place, and 64 pages pretty much looks like this.
Oh, so, wow, nice.
Yeah,
it's basically laid out.
Yeah, I have a stack of, layouts and stuff here.
Yeah.
And I'm busy right now kind of organizing it. So I'm scanning it, putting in file, in the file, and then the hard copies, I'm putting them in books. And so the idea is, once the campaign is done, I'm going to keep trying to draw here and there as I go. But once the campaign is done, then, I'm just going to take these layouts, blow them up 11 by 17 size, start, light boxing them up. And then I'm going to try to do all the pencils first, or at least I'm going to pencil an entire scene and then ink it and then send it out. It's just going to depend on how the schedule works out. But what I want to do right now is I've always had to do it piecemeal. Like you were saying earlier, like you got to put this hat on, take this one off, and you got to start, stop. I'm not a good start stopper. Like I'm like, just keep it going. Like stay in that mode and then just keep every day, just keep going and going. And for me, what I've taught myself is if like you could discipline yourself and do the same thing every day with the goal of getting faster and more proficient at it, you can gauge it day by day if you have a schedule. But if you kind of do it hit and miss, it's really hard to kind of gauge how fast you're moving and try to get better every day, faster every day and get more work out of you every day. So what I'm going to try to do, and I'm hoping it will work, is just once the campaign is funded, hopefully, it'll fund really, really well. So I don't have to worry about money too much, and just keeping everything here going, and then just pencil. I just want to pencil the entire issue and then ink the issue. And then as I'm inking it, send it out to, the letterer and the colorist and all that other stuff. So I kind of want to do it more organized than I have before.
For sure. Let's see. We got Genuine Comics in the chat. What's up? Thanks for tuning in. And I had a question because you're working with writers on this, between Joe and Vaughn, and you're an artist. You have your IP black and white that seems to enjoy working with writers as like a co-writer and stuff like that. You look at other guys like Malin, who's doing Godlike right now. He's doing that all himself. Now, have you done something like that before where it's all you with no co-writer? And what is kind of the benefit in your eyes to working the way you do with alongside someone else in that department?
Well, I kind of think of myself more as just a storyteller than a writer. I don't think I'd ever claim to be a writer. So what else is that I'm dyslexic, so it's real hard for me to try to craft something with words, with written words. There are days when it's like deciphering a code, so it's really sometimes it can be very, very tough for me. And so what I was doing when I was just storytelling myself is I would do everything visually. I would just break down the whole story just like thumbnails. I would draw it all out. But what I was finding is that if you change something or you don't like it, it takes longer to draw than it does to write.
Sure.
So then I just start thinking like, I'm probably just, doing a lot of spinning the wheels, doing, stuff like that. So I think I'm going to start working with a writer that we can come up with a plot, at least something that is, a clear beginning, middle, and end, which I always have, even when I'm laying it out myself. But there's kind of a destination. There's like page 1, page 2, page 3. So I know what's happening every page. And so I'm pretty good at visualizing. So I can read the page and I can get an idea if this is working or not. Or I can do some really quick scribbles based on the written word and see if it's working visually or not. And so then I can go back to the writer and say, hey, this is a little long. Maybe we could add some stuff here, back and forth, kind of like, in that way. And then, so Joe's that when I worked with Taylor Grosso on the first volume, it was the same. Chronomechanics was more of a stream of consciousness. I drew the whole thing. I didn't write anything. I just drew the whole book out. And when I say drew the book, I drew the book like it was finished, pencils and inks. And then, it was kind of like retrofitting the dialogue in, which was really, really ass backwards. But I'll tell you, it was a lot of fun to do because I just felt free. It was just all visual. And then, you kind of look back at it after the fact and you go, well, this wasn't quite explained as well as it should have been and so forth. And that's where you go, well, that's the benefit of if you would have written it out, because there are scenes that need to not so much be action, but that need to slow down and explain things, how certain things work, stuff like that. So I found that out, kind of just by trial and error, because I'm just a visual person, but working with a writer, it definitely helps me stay in that place where it's like, oh, well, how does this person's powers work? What is this character's mindset? Stuff like that I would never allow myself time to do because quite frankly, it's boring to draw.
No, that totally makes sense. It's, I've worked on projects like that where right now working with an artist who has an established IP and, just leaving the kind of research points up to me as the writer and taking notes so they don't forget something, or something you want to circle back to, kind of that behind the scenes world building to help the artist out in the future. From when we get to those points.
And if nothing more, it's good to have a sounding board like this. And you said take notes, man. That is so important because what you'll find is that maybe those ideas don't work, but they get you to the next idea. You know what I mean? So what I found is like I used to just be like I hate wasting time. So if you go off on these kind of tangents, and then I'd go, oh, this isn't paying off. This isn't where I want to be. But now I'm kind of like, yeah, but it got me to this idea.
Yeah.
And the one thing I do like about, CG and working independent the way we are now is because I do have a little bit more time to spend, like go back on the writing, go back on the story, reread it and see if it's working or not. You can get hindsight, you can have perspective on it, where if you're working Marvel and DC, it really is a grind. It's like you got 2-3 weeks. If you're lucky, you have a month to get something done. So there isn't a lot of time to explore, to even have fun, with the story. You kind of got to put something down, stick with it, and then, execute it and finish it.
Right. Let's see. We got Billy in the chat talking about Chronomechanics. He says, you drew the book without a script. That's my favorite CG book. Crazy. So fantastic.
Yeah. I'm a big Mobius fan. And so there's a story that he did. It's called Airtight Garage. And it was just a stream of consciousness, and it was serialized. He kept kind of building on the story. So he would just draw with no real idea of the destination, like where he was going with it. And so it just kind of kept building on itself. And the thing is, there's kind of like this, there's just this energy that comes out of it. Because you kind of have a beginning, middle, and end, but you really don't know how you're going to get there yet. You know what I mean? So every time you draw a page, you're hoping it gets closer to that destination.
Yeah.
But you're really not sure how it's going to pan out. And so that first Chrono Mechanics was definitely that.
That's crazy. Yeah, but that's kind of like, it seems like a creative exercise at that point.
Yeah, I think it was just like I just wanted to do it. Like I just had that energy to do it. And so it was just kind of, it was also a way to do it where it was more like I wasn't necessarily working that closely with somebody. It was kind of just like me doing it.
Sure. Yeah. So you talked about working with Vaughn on High Octane. Now, how did that kind of come about? And I kind of want to get into how you guys work together. Did you give him a plot, or did he pitch you an idea on this story and action in here? How did you guys work together on that?
Yeah, I've been wanting to, and we did a couple live streams like this where I wanted to do like a writing show. Like we would just talk about the craft of writing, because I like talking about it. Like I said, I don't really think of myself as a writer, but I like story. I like putting stories together. I like character. I like world building. I like all those things. I'm just not like a craftsman. I'm not like a craftsman as far as the writing. And so we started just hanging out, and then he did the Chrono Mechanics video. He put that together, and I remember working with him and just talking, just basic stuff, and he was getting it. Like, I know you've worked with people like this, in CG, and they're just like, boom, they get the concept, they get the characters, and you don't have to overly explain it to them or any of that stuff. They just, boom, they get it. And so he was kind of like one of those people. And so I always remembered that. Like, he's easy to get along with, he's easy to work with, and he gets it. He gets my brain the way, screwy way it works. And so, that's really important. And so then when this High Octane idea, because I just wanted to work with Pedro, you know what I mean? I was just like, I want to do some kind of animated project with you. And so then I just asked Vaughn if he wanted to do it. And he said yes. So I was like, holy shit, that guy just called my bluff. Now I got to do this book. And so I did have a basic idea, and it was just a real basic idea about like what I want to do with Black and White is the origin story. As you know, when you tell these stories, they're kind of, this is not a good term, but they're kind of limited in the way you have to tell the story. They can't be as epic as you want, especially if you want to get real character in there. Like Black and White, I really wanted to make it a character-driven story with action as a backdrop. And so with High Octane, I wanted it to be all action. I didn't want to be restricted by that origin story. I wanted it to be, I wanted to explore the universe a little bit more, and I wanted it to be bombastic. And so I told him, the idea, and it's basically kind of like we'll delve into cyberspace. We're gonna deal into stuff like that. So
nice.
So I'm not gonna tell you the idea, but I just kind of pitched this basic idea to Vaughn, and then he came up with the first draft, which was cool, but it was, like I said, it was a little too romantic. Like I said, there was a tunnel of love scene and everything.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let's kind of keep the relationship stuff there. They obviously have an attraction to each other, so that will always be there. But let's kind of keep the focus on robot fighting. And so the second draft came up, because it's only 22 pages.
Right.
We can't get too much into, character and the world beyond that. But if you write it in such a way that's very visual, and you have these great vistas and backdrops, and you have these robots, people are going to understand like this is not our time. This is kind of the future. This is, a different type of take on the world, stuff like that. And Pedro's just great at visually doing that. And so that's kind of where we were at. So it was really just a simple, just here, run with this idea. And then the other thing is that he was writing jokes for the characters, because the two characters, there's a lot of banter. They're really cutting, especially her, like to each other. Like there's a lot of like just old school ribbing. And but he was making like references of our time and even earlier. Like 90s or 80s and stuff like that. And so if these characters are from more of the future, I thought it kind of seemed more dated, like they wouldn't be referencing this stuff. Yeah. And also I kind of don't like to do that too much in my stories, because it also kind of dates the concepts.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought like we'll make jokes, we'll do all that stuff, but we just won't reference actual events or people or things like that.
Yeah, I think that's for the best. No, but I love hearing about other people's process on stuff like this, especially a writer working with someone else. Because when I got hired to write for Malin, it was basically like a pitch. I had like 3 pitches, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to pitch a Graveyard Shift story?" And I'm like, "Sure, that'd be insane." And then he fortunately picked the one that I was really into, and didn't tell him, but I had already started writing it, before I pitched it to him.
I've done stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was excited about it. So that all worked out. But yeah, I love stuff like this going on, like other creators getting hired on to work on other characters and kind of building up a repertoire or a portfolio of their work with different, publishers, which Yvonne has obviously been doing, which is really cool. Cool to see him on this project. And like I said, just the different style in here. It's going to be really, really fun to see all that roll out. Now, let
me just like on that note, go back and watch my video from I think 2 days ago, and I have Vaughn on. I have Joe Thunder, Buns Fulton, and I have Pedro Ang, and I've never had like this kind of round robin discussion about my IPs before. I mean, these are 3 other people at the top of their game that were talking about something I love. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been in a situation like that where it's all like everybody's talking about black and white. You know what I mean? Like it was surreal. And at one point I just kind of pulled back from the conversation. I was like, holy shit, we're talking hours about like something I created, with my wife, 25 years ago. This is fantastic. And they're all talking very enthusiastic about it. They're all talking with passion. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. This is great. Like I have never really had that experience before. I've worked with people one-on-one, but never kind of like this. And we're all working on like different projects, but they're all the same IP. It's the same characters. Yeah.
For sure. No, that's super fun. Yeah, everybody check that out and go over and sub to Art's channel. He does these really, really good morning streams. That's just him and the chat. Very, very feels like a one-on-one discussion. I really enjoy those streams, man.
I look forward to them as well. I would love to do them just every morning if I have time. Yeah.
Yeah. We got Joe Ball in the chat. What's up, Joe? Joe just launched his first solo book, Death. So everybody check that out as well.
And you can never accuse Joe of not putting everything plus the kitchen sink in his work.
Yeah, that's right, man. Yeah, he throws all the ink at the paper, which is great. I love his art style.
Kidding about Joe is like is probably a bottle of ink per page in every one of these pages.
Yeah. Let's get into want to just run over the characters really quick that we'll be seeing in this in this story. And I could assume lots of robots as well. But kind of wanted to take a look at the villain here in the background, looking menacing.
Yeah, so we have this is a character from Whitney's past. When she knew him, his name was Jake Chang. So he did some horrible things to her family, and he went to jail for it. But what ended up happening is there was a massive fire at the prison, and everybody just thought he perished in the fire. But there's this kind of idea that we're playing with is like the Phoenix. So his company years later, is called Phoenix World Incorporated. So he's kind of one of those survivors. He's like the Phoenix, and through the fire, he was reborn. But reborn more evil. He wasn't reborn in a good way. He was reborn more evil and smarter. And you're going to find out in this story. I want to tell you so bad. Oh God, Joe and I came up with a great, like, how he did it and everything, how he got out of the prison, how he, he survived and all that other stuff. But you're going to find out in this story in volume 2.
Nice.
And you're going to find out there's way more to this character than you could have ever imagined in that first volume. We spend a lot of time developing Jake Chang. I like characters that have aliases, so also known as JC, and Jake Chang, initials JC. It's easy for people; they would be able to figure it out. But also in the fire, he kind of had a little bit of a physical transformation too. So when he was reborn as JC, and it's no coincidence that he has like a Jesus Christ complex, So awesome. I thought that the JC thing really fit the character. So in this story proper, JC is he's a tech mogul. He's basically all robotics in the world are manufactured from Phoenix World Incorporated. So this guy is like just a master, genius, understands robotics, understands tech in a way that most people that, of his time will never, ever get. And so just like all good villains, he uses all of his expertise to do bad versus, and
sounds like a nasty dude.
Yeah, but his one weakness is Whitney Sung. His one weakness is this girl from his past, the one thing that was never attainable, the one thing that he always wanted and never got. So that's kind of where volume 1 starts.
Kick ass, man. Yeah, I'm excited to learn more about the character and see these. So
the fun part is like there's kind of this lovers triangle thing. I always kind of think those stories are funny. But the one part of it is one of the lovers is just completely evil. Like I always liked in the Fantastic Four that there was this Submariner that had a crush on Sue Storm. It's just completely weird and odd. Like that guy could have the hottest underwater babe, but he wants this one kind of like soccer mom, and I just love stuff like that. So yeah, this has kind of got this lovers triangle thing going, and the same reason that Reed really likes Whitney are the same reasons Jake Chang likes Whitney, because she's a little unhinged. Like she's a little crazy, right?
Sure, yeah.
And I think we're going with that. Yeah. So I think that's kind of a fun element to it. But Reed wants his aim is true, but JC just wants her as kind of a trophy.
For sure. Yeah. No, that I dig that. It reminds me of there's an episode of The Simpsons where Marge, there's this geeky kid in high school that had a crush on her, and then he grows up to be this millionaire, and he's played by John Lovitz.
Okay.
And he's like a millionaire now, like this tech mogul, and picks her up in a helicopter and tries to woo her away from Homer and stuff. It's a great episode. But it reminds me of that character where he has that love triangle. It's got a crush on your character here.
That's a great idea because in any normal situation, you just go, Marge, please take this opportunity because Homer is
Artie was the character's name, I'm pretty sure. But this is so fun. It seems like it's very thought out. I know Joe is a very thorough writer, and thinks about, he's got everything planned. You know, he seems to be 2 steps ahead of the audience at all times. So it looks like he's doing the same thing here with Black and White. It looks like a great addition to your team, Art. They sure know how to pick 'em.
The thing that Joe and Joe's really cool. So it wasn't hard, but it was mostly on his part that he had to adopt, or adapt to my way of doing things. And I told him, like, I'm not a technical guy. I'm more intuitive. So things I say are going to be more intuitive, and they might not connect, or you might not get them right away. But there's one thing I've learned, and I trust myself now, is when I come up with ideas, I already kind of, whether I'm conscious of it or not, I already know how it's going to connect into the big body of the story. So
Nice.
then I just kind of told him, I said, trust me, as off the wall as this seems right now, it'll all make sense. You know what I mean? So let's just go on this journey and see where it goes. And 9 times out of 10, it would pay off. But the cool thing is, Joe wasn't like, I don't get it. Where's this going? Like it was never like that. It was kind of like, you played out. Let's hear it out, out. And then he would kind of ask questions just to clarify. But it was never like, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
And then it would all iron out. And then he would be able to bring, his more logic and more like structured approach into the work, and then just make it all work on paper, which is something I cannot do.
Yeah.
What I mean?
It looks like you guys have a good synergy going on. With everything right now. But if you guys have not yet grabbed this book, now's the perfect time. Art has a bunch of great perks and alternate covers here for people. I'm going to be probably picking up this featured tier. It comes with the first and second book, right?
Yes.
And that Black and White high octane. Which I think everybody should grab. I love having supplemental material there as side stories for the fans, as a little add-on. I think that is a great thing that a lot of creators should be thrown into their project, because at the end of the day, it's about the books. You want to get that story out there, and what better than additional stories for people,
Yeah, and all the books are there as add-ons as well. So high octane doesn't have its own tier, but there are combo tiers that are here. So if you just wanted to pick up, Black and White Volume 1 or Black and White 2, or the Racquefort variant, you can still combo that with the high octane. So or vice versa, you could pick up the Racquefort and then pick up Volume 2 with the add-ons. And so we have the sketch tier as well, where it's not a tier yet. It's going to be a sketch tier later today. So all the layouts are going to be for sale. So all 64 pages that are done are going to be for sale. So they're 40 each, and they're only at checkout right now. But I was talking to Graham Nolan, and he said, you should put it up as its own tier as well, so that if somebody's just coming in, or somebody that's already backed it can back that tier. Because it's funny, because I kind of, my logic goes so far, but sometimes it doesn't go all the way.
Yeah.
Where if the only way you can get to the add-ons is if you back a book, you know what I mean? But if you've already backed a book, you can't get to the add-ons. So
Sure.
Yeah, so I'm going to be bringing the layouts into a tier of its own.
Nice. It's a good idea. We got Sim in the chat. What's up, brother? Good to see you. Pandemonium says, I could read both books while drinking from my magic cup. Yeah, you definitely could. I appreciate you picking that up. Art, tell me about this Black and White Jam.
Okay, the Black and White Jam is all the books, with the exception of one of the Capullo books. That one's sold out. So the main Capullo book, the remastered, it's kind of labeled remastered right now.
Yeah,
is not in there, but the variant version is. So it's basically all the books that are offered. So it's the main volume 2. It's volume 1 with the second printing. It's the Grey Capullo Virgin. It's the Racquefort variant. It's the High Octane Adventures, and we've thrown in a mini print, and all the book tiers that have more than 2 books in them, like 3 books and beyond, all come with a trading card.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then one lucky backer could become a character in the book. I love those drawn in tiers, man. It's so cool to have someone from the audience be featured in the comic.
Yeah, and you'll get the original page too. So the 11 by 17 original page will be yours, and you'll get the 3 books. You'll get the main cover, the Rockefort, and the High Octane Adventure.
Nice. That is a hell of a deal. Everybody jump on that and spread the word too. If you guys can't back today, definitely go over here and hit this follow button. It's a little heart. And now that it's red, you'll get every update that Art puts up on the campaign through your email as a kind of like a reminder that you wanted to back this book. So I think it's a great way to stay up to date with everything that's going on in Black and White Volume 2. And 24 days left, man. You shot out of the gate. Hot, man. You're killing it on here. And everybody, please tweet this out. Let people know that this is up here. I missed out on the first one and the second chance, so I'm going to be getting on that. And I hope you guys do as well. This is one of my favorite IPs just from the look of it. Going on in CG, and I'm glad you're coming back to it to wrap things up with this volume. Really,
yeah, it's going to be 64 pages too. It's an epic adventure, and we're finishing up the first 7 days of the campaign. And what would be dynamite is if we could end it at that 40, like by day 10. Ended at 40K, and also if we hit that 40K, you guys will unlock a new stretch goal. So that'll be 2 stretch goals that you guys have already unlocked, the 30K and the 40K. And if you hit the updates, still, you can see there it is. There's the Inko sticker. So that's the 40K.
Oh, dude, I gotta get it now, man. I love this character. He's my favorite.
That's good ink.
Yeah, it's so good, man. I love the art style. Big fan of old cartoons and stuff. My brother and I actually have a actually I could show you if I find my copy of Magic Cop 2.
I should say, by the way, you got everybody's like, oh yeah, you remember those 1930, 40 cartoons, Art, right? And I'm like, I wasn't around then. I know everybody thinks I'm freaking ancient, but
so
that even predates me.
So my brother came up with this character who's kind of like an Easter egg in our comics sometimes. His name's Ricky Rouse. He's a completely original character. And here, let me...
full screen it.
So he makes an appearance in Magic Cop 2, which we're shipping right now. And this is him.
Oh, that's cool. Is he? Oh, he's in a barrel.
Yeah, he's like, and this is his enemy is the mayor. The mayor hates him. He's revoking his balloon flying permit, and he's gonna shoot.
Old school cannon
with the ropes tied around his ankle.
Oh, I see.
He flies but this is Ricky Rouse.
Yeah.
Hot air buffoon.
The hot air buffoon. That's perfect, man.
He's we want to do like a full kind of like slapstick book about him. And the fun thing is he's like a silent cartoon character. So there's like no dialogue. And we did a strip where it cuts to like those silent movie text to explain things. So maybe one day we'll get to do that. But yeah, this character is Inko's one of my favorites.
I said it before, Phil, like, and now this goes for your brother as well. You guys are old souls. Like, I don't know where the hell this is coming from, man. Like this stuff goes way back, but you love everything about the art form. So that's like it's weird. And this is you guys are so different than I was at your age, because I had complete contempt for anything that came before me. And I was playing music at the time too. I was like, screw the Beatles, screw Pink Floyd, screw all that stuff, right? Screw the comics before that. Jack Kirby's a fraud, like all that stuff, right? And then you get to a certain point, and then like the maturity and you start actually realizing the proof, like the truth of it. And you go, well, that band that I like right now. And then you start listening to the Beatles. It's like, holy shit. They're just like, this is the Beatles. They were influenced by the Beatles, right?
Yeah.
So then you can even predate the Beatles, and then you can go back and you can listen to that music and go,
Sure.
oh, this is what they were listening to, and so forth. And then you realize that you have an appreciation for the work that you didn't even know you had, because you're looking at the contemporary stuff, but you didn't realize what they were looking at, So for me, it was actually fun, because then I could go back to stuff and I didn't really appreciate it at the time, but now I can go back and it's like listening to it for the first time. You know what I mean? Like I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan. Like I listen to it every week now, but when I was a kid, I was like, that's burnout music. That's a bunch of like hippie shit. And, if you're cool, you don't listen to that stuff. And, then I'm like, oh my gosh, this stuff is really freaking good.
No, yeah, I hear you, man. That's I'm like that with some things, but you're right. I'm an old soul. I love all this retro stuff and, how stuff started. I dig that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody. Check this out. Spread the word. Every share on this campaign helps, so we can get it huge. So you can get cool free stuff, just like this Inko sticker. Really excited about that. But yeah, before we take off, Art, is there anything else you want to mention about the campaign?
Yeah, just that. Yeah, we are a stone's throw away from 40K. It would be so killer if we could get there by day's end. That would mean that we hit 40K in the first 7 days, and that would be super fantastic. And also, you guys get that Inko sticker, and yeah, just everybody that's backed it, that has supported this campaign. Thank you so very much. The only way we can do these things is with support from you, backing from you. And I'm just so excited that there is this place, CG, that we can bring these IPs to, and actually it's viable. Like we can put, our dream projects out there, and that people will support them, and that we can in turn support our families. You know what I mean? Like, if I took this to Image Comics, or if I went through like a DC imprint or any of that stuff, which I could have done, it wouldn't be there. The success wouldn't be there. So this is very viable, because for me, like the money isn't like, oh, I'm going to get rich or anything. The money provides me opportunity to draw and create. That's all I really want out of life right now, is just that luxury of time.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what we're all after. Like, writing these comics and putting them out, making them happen is just, I mean, like the past 2 years for me have just been insane. Even though people were like, oh yeah, 2020 really sucked, but I was, writing and putting out the Lost Pages and Magic Cop too. So it was really fun for me. And speaking of that, we have the Lost Pages 2 sign up is still up. So guys, head on over there. Please sign up. We are almost to 400 signups, which is awesome for us. Really excited about getting back into this series. We had a great reaction from the first book, which is the first campaign is coming down soon. So if you guys haven't grabbed that, you could do so. But we're giving away some free art for signups. If you guys sign up to the campaign and back the book, you'll be entered to win some awesome free art. So check this out. This is our character, the People. He's our patriotic vigilante. And we had a bunch of different CG artists draw them. Alan Alonso did this one, colored pencil.
Wow.
Shelby Robertson did this one with Copic.
Sweet.
So these are going to go totally free to people. Alan did another one, just black and white inks.
So how are you going to do that? You obviously can't give one to every backer, can you?
Yeah, it'll be like a raffle style.
Oh, okay.
So we have, I want to say, almost 10 of these. And if you guys are on the mailing list and you back, I think we'll do a raffle the first day, and then subsequently, maybe by week of the campaign, we'll give one away to another person that's on that mailing list and that is backed. So stay tuned for that. We have a lot of cool giveaway stuff we're doing with that. And this story is going to focus on the Silhouette, who is kind of a fan favorite. We did a poll, and the backers said that they really loved this character. But that's going to be in black and white with splashes of red for blood. And that's going to be the bulk of the story. But there are going to be colored pages featuring other heroes in there. So definitely get ready. It's going to be around like 76 pages of story, a big book, and definitely diving into the Silhouette. And I wanted to show you, Art, the full cover by Preston Acevedo. This is what it's going to look like.
Oh my gosh.
Pretty fun.
Wow. That's perfect. Did
Yeah.
you do the colors as well?
No, the colors were by Adam Brown. He's Simon Bisley's colorist. I got in contact with him again.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
So
the Silhouette is killer. Yeah, the two guns out, the shadow nose,
Yeah, lots of fun here. A bunch of action, and then introducing this new supervillain named El Dorado, and he's obsessed with gold. He gets his hands on this ancient golden medallion, and it drives him mad, gives him these superpowers where he could shoot golden beams. So there's going to be a lot of cool playing with the color of gold and red and black and white on those.
Is his lower jaw made out of gold?
Yeah. So it gets blown off, and it's plated gold now. So it's pretty fun.
So he's got a real excuse to be angry.
Yeah.
If I lost my lower jaw, I think that I'd be a little pissed.
Yeah. So thanks, everybody in the chat for stopping by, listening about Black and White. Admiral Wackass in the chat says, "We'll back tonight. Look forward to the books. Thanks for the heads up, my dudes. I'm putting that sticker on my guitar case." That's awesome.
You know what? When you get the sticker and you do that, send me a photo. I would love to see it, man. That'd be killer. Yeah. I always thought like I wanted to be like a oh, you're the man. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. But if you go on tour, you have like all like the stickers from all like the raunchiest bars, that you go to, you play and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you just slap them all over your, like in my case, it'd be my drum cases, but I always kind of preferred the guitar case, just slap them all over it. And it's like, this is, Omaha, this is Nebraska, this is wherever, you play, this is New York, but all the dives, like, all the cooler places.
Yeah. Power Up Jay says, "The amount of creativity that CG Spawn is outstanding. You guys pulled me back into comics. I even started drawing again myself." Hell yeah, brother. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
The Admiral liked the Lost Pages. Thank you. And he was saying that the Sears Tower is the third character. Yeah, we have that's this tower right here, the very large building in Chicago, the Sears Tower.
Okay.
You'll see that throughout the book as well, because a lot of the story takes place in the city. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, and Aerith is here too, just as we're wrapping up. Yeah, thank you again, everybody. Check out Black and White, and go sub to Art's channel, because he does streams on there all the time. Follow him through his promotion the next couple months, and I can't wait to see where you get with this campaign, man, and get my hands on the book. It's been awesome having you on today, as always. And other than that, I guess we'll leave everybody be for the day.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Phil. Thanks to everybody in the chat for hanging with us. And yes, please go go back Black and White. 40K would be ideal by day's end. I think it's just I'm kind of a completionist in Symmetry. I think that 40 at the end of the week, the first week, I think would be sweet. So thanks again to you, Phil, and the chat.
Awesome. Yeah, and we will leave you guys be. We'll see you probably, what day is today? Thursday. I'll be back Monday with a stream with all of our guys. And until then, we'll see you.